The day my best friend married my father was supposed to be a celebration. There were drums, there was dancing, there were beautiful clothes, laughter, food, and hundreds of smiling faces. But while everyone celebrated, I stood quietly at the edge of the crowd, watching the two people I trusted most become husband and wife. Nneka was not just my best friend. She was the sister I never had. She knew my secrets. She knew my fears. She knew how much my father meant to me. And yet, she was standing beside him on their wedding day. I thought she had betrayed me. I had no idea that the real betrayal was much deeper than I could ever imagine. Long before the wedding, Nneka and I were inseparable. Our friendship began when we were children. We grew up in the same community, walked the same dusty roads, attended the same celebrations, and shared dreams about the future. Whenever life became difficult, Nneka was the first person I searched for. Whenever something wonderful happened, she was the first person I called. I trusted her completely. That was why what happened later hurt so much. Because sometimes, the people closest to us can hide the biggest secrets. Everything began changing when Nneka started spending more time at my father's house. At first, I thought nothing of it. She had always been welcome there. My father treated her like another daughter. But slowly, something became different. Their conversations became private. Their expressions became serious whenever I entered the room. And sometimes, I caught my father looking at Nneka with an emotion I couldn't understand. I ignored the warning signs. I trusted them both too much to imagine the truth. Then one evening, my entire world changed. My father gathered the family together. He looked unusually serious. Nneka sat beside him, unusually quiet. Then came the announcement. My father was going to marry Nneka. For a moment, everything around me seemed to disappear. I couldn't hear the people around me. I couldn't understand what I had just heard. My best friend was going to become my stepmother. The woman who had spent years sharing my secrets was about to become my father's wife. And the worst part was that she had known before I did. I couldn't accept it. I felt betrayed, angry, humiliated. I wondered whether Nneka had secretly wanted my father's wealth all along. I wondered whether our friendship had ever been real. Every memory we had shared suddenly felt like a lie. The girl I once called my sister now felt like a stranger. I stopped speaking to her. I stopped answering her calls. And I refused to attend any wedding preparations. But Nneka never fought back. She simply endured my anger in silence. At the time, I thought her silence was proof of her guilt. Then came the wedding day. The entire community seemed to gather. Traditional drums echoed through the compound. Women arrived wearing beautiful wrappers and coral beads. Men dressed in elegant Ishagu outfits and traditional caps. Elders sat beneath decorated canopies while food and drinks were served. Everyone was celebrating. Everyone except me. I watched Nneka walk toward my father. She looked beautiful, but behind her smile, I could see sadness. Something was wrong. I just didn't know what it was. That night, after the wedding celebrations ended, I couldn't sleep. I wandered through the house until I found myself standing outside my mother's old room. My mother had been gone for years. Her room had remained almost untouched. Walking inside brought back memories I had tried to forget. Then I noticed something beneath an old wooden cabinet. It was a small wooden box. I had never seen it before. Inside the box was an old photograph. My hands began shaking when I saw it. The photograph showed my mother. But she wasn't alone. Standing beside her was a much younger Nneka. That was impossible. Nneka and I had always believed our friendship began when we were children. So why had my mother known her before then? I turned the photograph over, and what I saw on the back made my heart stop. Written on the back of the photograph were words from my mother's handwriting. The message said that Nneka knew the truth about something that had happened many years earlier. I read it again and again. My mother had trusted Nneka with a secret. But what secret? Why had she never told me? And why had Nneka entered my life without ever revealing that connection? Suddenly, my father's marriage didn't look like a simple love story anymore. It looked like a carefully planned mystery. Before I could understand what I had discovered, I heard footsteps outside. I quietly moved toward the window. A strange man had entered the compound. He looked around carefully before approaching Nneka. They spoke quietly. I couldn't hear everything, but I heard enough to realize that Nneka was afraid. The stranger seemed to be warning her. And then I heard something that changed everything. Nneka had not married my father for money. She had married him because someone was threatening my life. My entire understanding of Nneka changed in that moment. She wasn't the greedy woman I had imagined. She wasn't trying to steal my father's wealth. She had been hiding something. Something dangerous. Something connected to my mother. Something that had apparently followed my family for more than 20 years. And somehow, I was at the center of it. I finally confronted Nneka. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. For years, she had carried a secret she never wanted to reveal. She had promised my mother that she would protect me. And marrying my father had been part of that promise. But there was one thing I still didn't understand. What had my mother been protecting me from? Why had she trusted Nneka? And why had my father kept the truth from me for all these years? Then Nneka revealed the final piece of the mystery. My mother hadn't died the way I had always been told. Her death was connected to a secret that could destroy my family. And my father knew everything. That night, I realized something painful. I had spent weeks hating the wrong person. I thought my best friend had betrayed me. But she had been protecting me. I thought my father had fallen in love again. But he had been hiding something. And I thought my mother's death was a tragedy. But now I had reason to believe it was something much darker. The next morning, I opened my mother's old box again. Beneath the photograph was a second envelope. On the front were 5 words written in my mother's handwriting. Amara, never trust your father. My hands began to shake. Because if those words were true, then the man I had trusted all my life might be the person I should fear most. And that was only the beginning.